All right, so today we are going to start with the fraction 1/3. I'm going to draw a tape diagram for this. And I'm going to break this in to 3 equal parts and shade in one of them to represent my fraction 1/3. Now, I want to know what would happen if I take these thirds. Let's, pretend you're with your friends and you've got a candy bar that you want to share, and there's 3 of you, so you break it into 3 equal parts, and each of you gets 1 part. But let's say we want to break the candy bar up into smaller parts. What would happen if we take each of these thirds and we break each of those in half? Now, how many equal parts do we have? I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 equal parts. Now that part that I had shaded hasn't changed. What has changed is the number of parts that make up that shaded part. So instead of saying I have 1/3 of the candy bar, which is true, I can also say that I have 2/6 of the candy bar, and that would be the equivalent amount. So I'm taking the fraction 1/3 and I'm breaking it into even smaller fractions. So the fraction 1/3, if I did this as a number bond, can be broken down even further as 1/6 plus 1/6. All right, so let's take that fraction that I just ended with. We were working with 6. So let's take 1/6. And again, I'm going to draw a tape diagram. And I'm going to break it into 6 equal parts. And I'm going to shade in one of them. Well, I want to know what happens when I take that 1/6 and I break each of those 6 in half one more time. Got 1, 2, I'm going to break that 6 in half, break that 6th in half, that one, and that one. So now, how many equal parts do I have? If I took each 6th and broke each of them in half, I end up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 equal parts. So this 1/6 that I started out with can be broken down as 1/12 plus 1/12. We can write that as a multiplication sentence. I have 2 equal groups of 1/12, which equals 2/12. So I can say that 1/6 is equal to 2/12. And in this example, I want to take the fraction 1/3 and I want to draw a tape diagram to figure out how many 12ths are in 1/3. So I'm going to start out with a big tape diagram. I'm going to break it into 3 equal parts. And I'm going to shade that in. Now, what I need to figure out is how many pieces I should break each of those thirds into. So I'm going to ask myself in my mind, 3 times what gets me close to 12? And I know that 3 times 4 is 12. So I'm going to take my tape diagram and I'm going to divide each of those thirds into 4 equal parts. So I'm going to take that third, break it into 4 parts, take that third and break it into 4 parts, and I will take this third and break it in to 4 equal parts. So now instead of 3 equal parts in the shape, I have 4 equal parts, and I want to figure out how many, I have 12 equal parts, and I want to figure out how many of those 12 equal parts match up with this 1/3. So I can write this as a sum of unit fractions, 1/12 plus 1/12 plus 1/12 plus 1/12. So 1/3 is equal to 1/12 plus 1/12 plus 1/12 plus 1/12. I can write this as a multiplication sentence. I have 4 equal groups of 1/12. So I can say that 1/3 is equal to 4/12. For this last example, I've got the fraction 1/5, and I want to see what I can make that equal to. So I started drawing my tape diagram, and I broke it into 5 equal parts. I'm going to shade in this one to represent 1/5. And now I want to break up each of my fifths into 3 equal parts. So I'm going to take this fifth and I'm going to break it into 3 parts. I'm going to take this fifth and break it into 3 parts, this fifth and break it into 3 parts, and so on. Now I want to figure out how many equal parts I have in this new tape diagram. And the answer is 15. So I have 15 equal parts. Now this 1/5, I know I can write this as the sum of unit fractions is equal to 1/15 plus 1/15 plus 1/15, or 3 equal groups of 1/15. So 1/5 is equal to 3/15. Now let's say I wanted to figure out how many 15ths 2/5 is equal to. If I already know that 1/5 is equal to 3/5 or 3/15, then all I would have to do to figure out the answer to 2/5 is say 2/5 is equal to 3/15 plus 3/15. I can also see that here on my tape diagram. I shaded in 1/5, 2/5, and that equals to 3/15 plus 3/15, which ends up being 6/15. So 2/5 is equal to 6/15.